Truong Dua, a talented female PhD, and her 10-year love affair with Phuong Van. After graduating, Dua decided to visit her boyfriend's home to discuss marriage. But this also marked the beginning of unforeseen tragedies. From the start, Dua sensed discomfort from her future sister-in-law, Chow Din, who was envious of her educational background and status. Things began to worsen when Dua's family demanded a bride price of $88,000, a sum that was not large but posed a significant problem for Phuong Van's family. Chow Din immediately opposed this, comparing it to the $66,000 bride price she received years ago, and accused her mother-in-law of favoritism. The future mother-in-law, who had previously shown affection towards Dua, quickly turned against her, claiming that Dua's education was funded by Phuong Van, and thus she had no right to make demands. Phuong Van, the one Dua had loved for 10 years, also did not side with her. Not only did he not refute his mother's false claims, but he also asked Dua to reduce the bride price to keep his sister-in-law happy. Everything reached a boiling point when Phuong Van shouted at Dua, accusing her of being ungrateful and asserting that he had supported her education. A feeling of betrayal and disappointment flooded Dua's heart, but she still tried to remain calm and wanted to clarify everything. However, Phuong Van's family did not give Dua a chance to explain. They continuously interrupted, falsely accusing her, and demanded unreasonable things. Phuong Van's mother even shamelessly declared the. However, Phuong Van's family did not give Dua a chance to explain. They continuously interrupted, falsely accusing her, and demanded unreasonable things. Phuong Van's mother even shamelessly declared that she would only accept the wedding if Dua became pregnant first, and would teach her how to do housework to be worthy of Phuong Van. Chow Din then demanded the full dowry of $200,000 from Dua. The situation escalated beyond endurance when Phuong Van suddenly slapped Dua, blaming her for causing trouble and affecting Chow Din's pregnancy. At this moment, Dua truly realized the nature of Phuong Van's family, a feudal, conservative, and calculating family. She decided to end a relationship with Phuong Van. However, Phuong Van's family did not let Dua go easily. They attacked her, confined her, and silenced her to prevent her from calling for help. They even intercepted calls from Dua's parents, lying that everything was fine. Fortunately, Dua's parents felt uneasy and decided to visit Phuong Van's home. When they arrived, they were heartbroken to see their daughter being brutally beaten. Dua's father was furious, declaring that he would not marry his daughter off to such a family, and decided to destroy that household. Dua also stood her ground, slapping Phuong Van and declaring the end of all relations. On the way home, Dua recounted everything that happened to her parents and revealed that Phuong Van was actually incapable of having children. Dua's parents were deeply pained and comforted her, affirming their unconditional love and support. After returning home, Dua tried to forget what had happened and focus on her work. However, Phuong Van did not let her go. He took to social media to slander Dua, fabricating stories that she had abandoned him for a wealthy man and was exploiting the sympathy of netizens to make money. Dua's life and her family's were severely impacted. They received threats and attacks. Dua decided to fight back by releasing a video documenting the events at Phuong Van's home. This video caused a public uproar, and Phuong Van was heavily criticized by netizens. He lost all his honor and could no longer earn money through live streaming. His family was also affected, losing jobs and being shunned by neighbors. Sometime later, Phuong Van came to find Dua, asking to get back together, but Dua refused. She realized that he only regretted losing the opportunity to make money, not that he truly loved her. The life of Phuong Van's family then faced many tragedies. Chow Din lost her child and divorced Phuong Quang. The Truong family tried to buy a wife but was scammed out of their money. Phuong Quang stabbed Phuong Van, leading to his hospitalization, and Phuong Van eventually passed away. No one knew where the Truong family went, and there were no further news about them. As for Dua, she overcame the hardships and lived a peaceful and happy life. She realized that sometimes a painful breakup is the beginning of a better life. Dua's story serves as a warning about the dangers of toxic relationships and as encouragement for women enduring injustices in life. Be strong, stand up for yourself, and seek true happiness. Chapter 1. After graduating with my PhD, my boyfriend took me home to discuss our engagement. His sister-in-law, upon hearing that my family demanded an $88,000 bride price, immediately frowned. Why did you only pay $66,000 for me, but for her, it's $88,000? That's so biased. The future mother-in-law, who had just sweetly called me daughter, suddenly changed her attitude. You studied for how many years for your bachelor's and master's degrees? Wasn't it all thanks to my son? How dare you ask for money? The future mother-in-law, who had just sweetly called me daughter, suddenly changed her attitude. You studied for how many years for your bachelor's and master's degrees? Wasn't it all thanks to my son? How dare you ask for money? I looked at my boyfriend in confusion, and he glared at me. Isn't that true? It seemed this wedding was not going to happen. Phuong Van and I had loved each other for 10 years. After I earned my PhD, he brought me home to discuss our engagement. As soon as I stepped inside, I could feel that his family valued me greatly. The house was tidy, and a sumptuous meal was already laid out on the table. His aunt, his mother, was as warm as she was on WeChat, holding my hand and asking me questions, her affection clearly visible on her face. Always wore a gentle smile. Only his sister-in-law, from the moment I entered, exuded an inexplicable discomfort. Her scrutinizing gaze was unhidden, both disdainful and envious. But because his aunt was so enthusiastic, I didn't pay much attention to that uncomfortable feeling. After the meal, I offered to wash the dishes, wanting to see how they treated guests. His aunt quickly pulled me out of the kitchen, insisting that she would wash them and not let me lift a finger. She told me to sit and watch TV with my boyfriend, his brother, and his sister-in-law. The sister-in-law, who had hardly spoken to me until now, suddenly asked, "How much does your family sell daughters for?" I had never encountered such blatant hostility before, and I was momentarily stunned. Phuong Van lowered his voice. "Sister, what are you talking about?" Then he turned to me, trying to defuse the situation. "My sister is a bit straightforward. Don't take it to heart. She just wants to know how much bride price our family is asking." "About?" Then he turned to me, trying to defuse the situation. "My sister is a bit straightforward. Don't take it to heart. She just wants to know how much bride price our family is asking." The sister-in-law continued to mutter in a low voice. "It's still selling daughters. What did I say wrong?" Phuong Van had once mentioned that his sister-in-law only finished middle school, so sometimes her thinking was a bit different. I tried to suppress my discomfort and turned to Phuong Van. "My parents aren't asking for much. They just want a symbolic amount of 88,000. In fact, Phuong Van and I were from the same region. In my hometown, the bride price is often 166,000 or even higher. If the bride price isn't high, the material conditions must be good, having a house, a car. If the bride price isn't high, the material conditions must be good, having a house, a car." From the beginning, my parents had not agreed to me dating Phuong Van. They thought his educational background was only high school, and his mindset and way of life wouldn't match with mine. But since we had loved each other for 10 years, my parents gradually softened. They saw how well he took care of me, so they accepted this marriage. They also advised me that since his family's financial situation wasn't good, a symbolic bride price would be enough. As long as he treated me well in the future, that was sufficient. I was about to mention that my parents would give me 200,000 as a dowry. Unexpectedly, the sister-in-law immediately frowned. "Already 30 years old, and you still dare to ask for 88,000? Do you think just because you have a PhD, you're worth your weight in gold? Do you think just because you have a PhD, you're worth your weight in gold?" After saying this, she turned to yell into the kitchen. "Mom, why did you only pay 66,000 for me? But for her it's 88,000? You're being too biased." Hearing this, my heart suddenly went cold. I recalled the time when Phuong Van failed the university entrance exam. I had advised him to go back to school, but he refused. Later, I learned that at that time, his sister-in-law was pregnant and pressured the family to hold the wedding immediately with a bride price of 66,000. If they didn't marry, she threatened to sue Phuong Quang's brother for criminal charges. His family was in a very difficult situation, and 66,000 was borrowed from everywhere. Moreover, that incident happened 10 years ago. My parents had prepared a dowry of 200,000, so I thought asking for 88,000 in betrothal gifts was completely reasonable. Yet, my mother-in-law rushed out from the kitchen and immediately turned hostile. "My son supported you through university to your doctorate. How can you still have the face to demand a betrothal gift?" "My son supported you through university to your doctorate. How can you still have the face to demand a betrothal gift?" The sudden change in attitude was hard for me to accept. I turned to look at Phuong Van. Indeed, when I was in university, my family was going through some financial difficulties. Phuong Van once told me, "Don't worry, just focus on your studies." He had said he would support me until I finished university. In the first month of his job, he transferred 3,000 yuan to me. Later, I found out that his total salary that month was only 3,500 yuan. Even though my parents had managed to borrow money to send to me, I still transferred that 3,000 yuan back to him. But his gesture always moved me for a long time. After that, my family overcame the tough times and was fully capable of covering my tuition and living expenses. Moreover, I excelled in my studies and received various scholarships every year. So, throughout my relationship with Phuong Van, I rarely spent his money. On the contrary, he often complained that his mother-in-law told him to send all his salary home to save, so he didn't have much left for himself, and there were times I had to help him out. Yet, now I was being twisted into he supported my education. Phuong Van pulled me aside. "Deuce daughter, aren't we discussing our engagement? Can you talk to your parents about reducing the betrothal gift a bit? Back then, my sister-in-law only had 66,000. Now you're asking for 88,000. She surely won't be happy. You know his family is struggling. His parents have worked hard. So please don't make it harder for them." I looked at the person who had been by my side for 10 years. Is the issue really the betrothal gift? Clearly, his mother-in-law said I was educated with his money. Besides, their financial struggles aren't my fault. A wave of discontent surged within me, but I still tried to remain calm and express myself clearly to him. "Phuong Van, let's talk about the bride price later. First, you should clarify with your aunt that you have never supported me through school. I don't want my aunt to misunderstand that I'm the kind of person." Before I could finish my sentence, Phuong Van interrupted loudly. "What do you mean? Haven't you been supported by me for college? Back then, my family didn't have money. In the first month of my job, you transferred 3,000 to me, and now that I've finished my studies, you want to wipe everything clean." His gaze was full of disdain as he coldly laughed. Indeed, What they say is true. The higher you study, the more heartless you become. I was taken aback. How could Phuong Van think like that? His voice grew louder, drawing the whole family to surround me. On the surface, it seemed like he was having a proper conversation with me. But in reality, everyone was chiming in, and I couldn't get a word in. Do. How can a little girl like you be so ungrateful? Since you entered university, the Phuong Van family has been cutting back on food and clothing to support your studies, and now you refuse to acknowledge it? It felt like I was being judged from 3 sides. Look at how many years you've studied. Phuong Van has been working for just as many years, and because of you, he hasn't saved a single penny these past few years. Don't be so ungrateful. Do. I know you study hard, and your family doesn't think much of the Phuong Van family, demanding a high bride price to put pressure on him, hoping he will withdraw. But our family is different. We aren't that practical. You two have loved each other for so many years. I can't bear to separate you. Isn't it 88,000? Even if we have to sell the house and borrow money, our family will manage. But although our family is poor, we have our own dignity. We can give 88,000 as a bride price, but you're already 30. Who knows if you can still have children? How about this? You and Phuong Van should prepare to have a child first. If you get pregnant, our family will immediately provide 88,000. If not, our family can't marry a hen that doesn't lay eggs, right? So it's decided then. Don't go back. Just stay at our house and prepare to get pregnant with Phuong Van. So it's decided then. Don't go back. Just stay at our house and prepare to get pregnant with Phuong Van. Oh, right. He says you studied too much and become foolish, not knowing how to do housework. I'll teach you. After you get married, you'll need to know how to take care of Phuong Van. I felt like I had fallen into a marketplace, being publicly evaluated in front of everyone. I had never encountered such a ridiculous scene. I was genuinely shocked and didn't know how to react. What kind of feudal family was this? They even blamed my parents. Before I could open my mouth, Phuong Van's sister-in-law jumped up. Why is it that she's already a 30-year-old woman demanding 88,000, and everyone agrees? I don't agree. I could only laugh coldly inside. Truly, this family was full of special characters. Anyway, I don't agree. Either you compensate me with 22,000, or she only gets 66,000. Phuong Quang sneered from the side. What can you do if you don't agree? Who says our family only cares about the youngest son? Phuong Van's father began to look displeased and stepped in to refute. They said that for the past few years, they had only been focused on paying off their wedding debts and had never helped Phuong Van with a single penny. The family started arguing about money, and I, the one directly involved, couldn't get a word in. Previously, Phuong Van had mentioned that Chow Din had a younger brother, and the bride price she received years ago had all gone to support him. After getting married, whenever Phuong Quang earned some money, it was all taken back to her mother's house. Now, demanding an additional 22,000 was probably to continue supporting her brother. But that wasn't my concern. I grabbed Phuong Van's hand, intending to clarify each issue. Phuong Van, let's talk calmly. With his family's attitude like this, I truly had no intention of marrying him anymore. However, after 10 years of feelings, I still wanted to part on good terms. Unexpectedly, Phuong Van looked at me with a fierce gaze, and in an instant, he slapped me hard across the face. Unexpectedly, Phuong Van looked at me with a fierce gaze, and in an instant, he slapped me hard across the face. What are you still holding on to me for? Now you want to talk properly? The whole family is in chaos because of you. Are you satisfied? Go apologize to your sister-in-law. The slap made my head ring. I couldn't even believe this was Phuong Van's action. For 10 years, he had never spoken harshly to me, and now he dared to hit me. Phuong Van, you dare to hit me? I held my face, glaring at him. A hint of embarrassment flashed across his face. It's your fault for causing trouble. Your sister-in-law is pregnant, and you stirred her up like this. If something happens to the baby, can you take responsibility? Chow Din had previously been pregnant before marriage, but unfortunately, the baby was lost. It took many years, and now she was finally pregnant again. Phuong Van's mother also intervened to mediate. It's normal for men to hit women. Don't make a big deal out of it. In the future, don't provoke Phuong Van, and he won't hit you anymore. Listen to me. Go apologize to your sister-in-law. I caused chaos in the whole family. I had only said 2 sentences from start to finish, but their family was truly skilled at framing others. Earlier, I had only thought their family was outdated, backward, and strange. Now I realized this was not a good family at all. No matter what, I would not marry into this family. I looked straight at Phuong Van and slapped him back. Phuong Van, hear me clearly between us. It's over. My slap immediately silenced the family that was in internal conflict. They quickly shifted to united against the outsider, and the outsider was me. Phuong Van's initial look of shock quickly turned into anger. The fury on his face became more pronounced, making me start to feel scared. Chapter 2. He gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, Trong Du, you have some guts, daring to hit your husband. At that moment, I truly began to feel scared, because I was in their house. But the stronger emotion was still anger. He could hit me, but if I hit back, it became an insult to his honor. Chow Din stood by, enjoying the show, and didn't forget to add fuel to the fire. I thought I could marry a well-educated wife, but who knew she would turn out to be a lioness? She laughed gleefully at Phuong Van. Little uncle, if you dare to hit me like this before marriage, after you marry her, you'll probably have to kneel and wash clothes every day. I remember the Phuong family has never had a tradition of fearing their wives. Does she dare? Phuong Van gritted his teeth, speaking as if nailing it down. He immediately grabbed my hand tightly, pulling hard and pushing me against the wall. Today, I have to teach you what it means to be a proper wife. Don't! I instinctively screamed. Just as my head hit the wall, a wave of pain surged through me, causing my vision to darken. The Phuong family stood there, coldly watching me get beaten. That's how it should be. Let her know what respect is. Does she think being a PhD is impressive? So what? Men can be master's degree holders too. Phuong Van, if you don't teach your wife properly, she will ruin our family for 3 generations. If it weren't for her studying so much, she could still tutor my grandson in the future. At her age, who would want to marry her? The more Phuong Van listened, the angrier he got, and he hit me harder. Stop hitting. My voice grew weaker, tears streaming down my face. This family was truly a bunch of demons. Phuong Van was still not satisfied, continuing to punch and kick me. At that moment, my phone fell to the ground. I struggled through the pain to crawl over, wanted to reach for my phone. I had to call the police. I had to call my parents. As I crawled on the floor, my hand barely touching the phone, a foot came down hard on my hand. Looking up, I saw Chow Din's face full of smugness. Sister-in-law, do you want to take the phone call home? No way. A woman like you, who doesn't know her place, letting outsiders know, wouldn't that embarrass the Zhang family? The smile on her face grew increasingly terrifying, her foot stomping harder. I screamed in agony. Phuong Van coldly said, Sister-in-law, why bother talking to her? If a woman doesn't listen, just beat her until she does. After saying that, he continued to punch and kick me mercilessly. Just then, the phone on the floor rang. The Phuong family exchanged glances, signaling Phuong Van to stop. It's a call from Ms. Dudu. I felt like a lost soul in the desert suddenly spotting water, immediately directing my gaze toward the phone. But with just one look from Phuong Van, the whole family rushed to gag me with tape, preventing me from making any sound. Phuong Van instantly switched to a sweet tone and picked up the phone. Yes, hello uncle and aunt, we just finished eating. Dudu is getting used to it. She's taking a shower now. Earlier, we discussed the betrothal gifts a bit. Dudu mentioned that you wanted 88,000. The moment he mentioned 88,000, Phuong Van's face darkened. No, how can it be that much? Dudu deserves it. It's just that our family is a bit struggling. We need to gather a little more, but you can rest assured, we will definitely manage. After that, on the other end of the line, my parents were speaking continuously, and Phuong Van could only nod repeatedly. I could only look at the phone in despair, unable to make a single sound. Uncle and aunt, don't worry. Dudu said she wants to stay at our house for a few more days. The new year is coming, and she said she wants to celebrate it here. After the new year, we will come and visit you. Upon hearing that, I could only shake my head continuously. Phuong Van then began to put on a fake smile, chatting very amicably with my parents before hanging up. As soon as he hung up, he kicked me hard again. Your parents said they would give a dowry of 200,000. Why have you never mentioned it? All I could do was moan in pain, staring at the person before me like a demon. But a dowry of 200,000. Chow Din was the first to scream in astonishment. The heavy atmosphere suddenly shifted entirely, and Mrs. Phuong and Mr. Phuong were visibly delighted. You should have mentioned the dowry of 200,000 earlier. Now everyone is happy. I gritted my teeth, unsure whether to feel fortunate or bitter. If it weren't for my constant interruptions, perhaps I wouldn't have seen the true face of this family. If I had waited until after the wedding to see their true nature, it would have likely ended in more tragedy. But my 10 years of feelings for Phuong Van, 10 years, and yet I still couldn't see through him. Phuong Van's gaze at me was still filled with annoyance. Is it really only 200,000? Does your family know my family is poor and not add a bit more to the dowry? At the very least, they should buy us a car or a house. Trong Du, don't think that your family giving you 200,000 as a dowry is something noble. It's just a price tag on a product. The only difference is whether it's sold high or low. In reality, your parents probably think of you as a loss-making product already. Phuong Van was truly the epitome of a two-faced person. When my family requested 88,000 as a bride price, it was called selling a daughter. Yet 200,000 in dowry became worthless, and he even demanded a car and a house. His parents nodded continuously, fully agreeing. Son, you're absolutely right. Your parents clearly look down on our family, giving a bit of dowry as if they were throwing a few coins to a beggar. This is outrageous. But for now, let's just keep your parents at ease. It's best to secure the dowry first. As for her, Mrs. Phuong and Mr. Phuong looked at me with calculating eyes. If she can't get pregnant, then don't dream of stepping out of this door. Their words showed no regard for me. If she can't get pregnant, then don't dream of stepping out of this door. Their words showed no regard for me. Whether she can get pregnant is still uncertain. After all these years, Phuong Van still hasn't made her pregnant. If that weren't the case, I would have told him to bring this girl home long ago. This statement left me stunned, unable to comprehend. What did it mean? Phuong Van's gaze towards me grew colder and more venomous. There were several times I purposely tampered with the condoms, yet she still didn't get pregnant. I also suspect she's the type of hen that doesn't lay eggs. What? Phuong Van. My 10 years of feelings were truly wasted on a dog. Chow Din, hearing this, rolled her eyes, and slowly spoke. Sister-in-law, that 200,000 dowry must all go to me. Fuang Quang immediately exploded. On what basis should I give it to you? Are you itching for fight? Chao Din pushed her not-so-obvious pregnant belly towards Fuang Quang, deliberately bumping into him. Go ahead. Hit me. Haven't you hit me enough before? It would be best if you hit me so hard that this child falls out. Are you crazy? Mrs. Fuang shouted, seemingly starting to care about the grandchild in Chao Din's belly. No wonder Chao Din had been so harsh with me from the beginning. It turned out she had long considered everything from the Fuang family as her own. Mrs. Fuang immediately switched to a gentle expression, smiling warmly. Tin Tin, being pregnant isn't easy. You must be careful. Chao Din pouted. I know very well that this pregnancy isn't easy at all. I've said it. The 200,000 dowry from my sister-in-law must be handed over to me. As for the bride price, you all think of another way to deal with it. If you don't give it to me, don't expect my child to be born. When the time comes, I'll tell him that it's his grandparents who don't love him. Chao Din spoke without restraint, relying on the child in her belly. She completely failed to notice the increasingly dark and unpleasant expressions on the Fuang family's faces. I was still sitting here, and they were brazenly dividing my dowry among themselves. The ridiculous part was that Chao Din treated me like an outsider, forgetting that she wasn't even a member of the Fuang family. I and she had never been enemies. Mrs. Fuang kept nodding. All right, we agree. Give it all to her. Chao Din pressed on. The dowry money must be transferred directly into my account. At this moment, Fuang Quang pretended to be silent. But Fuang Van could no longer hold it in. On what basis? That's money my in-laws gave me. His father slammed his hand on the table. On what basis? That's money my in-laws gave me. If your wife could have a son, then that 200,000 wouldn't go to your sister-in-law. Fuang Van was about to say something, but everyone stopped him. Unable to vent his anger, he kicked me hard. If it weren't for you not being able to give birth, that 200,000 wouldn't have ended up in someone else's hands. 200,000? Don't even dream. No one is touching a single cent. I looked at the clock, calculating the time. My parents must be arriving soon. The very next second, there was a knock at the door. As soon as it opened, a group of people rushed into the house, catching the Fuang family off guard. What are you doing? Rue, my daughter. As soon as my mother saw me curled up on the floor, bruised and battered, tears streamed down her face. Uncle, aunt, why did you come? Fuang Van, seeing my parents, immediately felt guilty and stammered. My mother rushed over to remove the tape from my mouth, untied me, tears streaming down. Rue, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have let you go to their house alone. I hugged my mother tightly, all the pent-up grievances bursting forth, and I cried out, Mom. Every second I spent here felt like hell. I just hoped my parents would arrive quickly. Thankfully, I had the habit of calling my parents whenever I arrived somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't have felt uneasy and come in time. So, with the in-laws, you two came so late without prior notice, so we could prepare to welcome you. Mrs. Fuang forced a smile, speaking insincerely. But everyone could see, she could hardly smile anymore. Rue, why are you crying so pitifully? Your parents think the family is bullying you. Even at this point, did she still think she could deceive me? In-laws, Rue hit the wall herself. We didn't lay a finger on her. My father's face grew darker. I wiped my tears and helped my mother stand up. Dad, all the injuries on me are from Fuang Van. The whole Fuang family wanted to lock me up until I got pregnant before allowing the marriage. They even wanted to take the 200,000 dowry my parents gave me. That's not true. In-laws, don't listen to Rue's nonsense. Mrs. Fuang immediately defended herself. She slapped Fuang Van first. The boy just hit back. It's normal for couples to argue. And I've already scolded Fuang Van. Fuang Van nodded vigorously beside her. At this point, did they still think my family came to reason with them? My father looked at me with an extremely angry expression. If it weren't for living in a law-abiding society, those people would have been done for by now. My father gritted his teeth and coldly said, Who is in-laws with you? You beat my daughter to this state, and I can still marry her off to your family? By now, many neighbors had gathered outside. The Fuang family tried to close the door, but my family blocked it. Mrs. Fuang began to lose face, but still insisted. In-laws, that's not right. My daughter has loved your son for 10 years. Now she's a 30-year-old old maid. If it weren't for my son's kindness, who would want to marry her? Whether my daughter can get married or not is none of your business. My father was furious, his face turning purple. Even if she can't get married, I can support her for a lifetime. I choked on my parents' love for me, but at this point, I didn't want to waste any more words with his family. Dad, no need to say anything more, just take action. All right, my father replied succinctly. The Fuang family began to panic. What are you planning to do? This is a law-abiding society, you know. My mother helped me step in front of Fuang Van. He was still loudly threatening me. Trong do you dare to hit me? My mother helped me step in front of Fuang Van. He was still loudly threatening me. Trong do you dare to hit me? I gathered all my strength and slapped him hard. Yes, I hit you, so what? Fuang Van, you're truly a beast. Let me tell you, between us, it's over. I never thought that my relationship with Fuang Van would end this way. All I can say is, a fortunate girl doesn't step into an unfortunate house. I turned to my dad. Dad, smash their house. Dad, smash their house. All right, destroy this house for me. My dad said to the people with him. I wasn't afraid of them calling the police. Go ahead, call them. It wouldn't benefit anyone in the end. At that moment, all I wanted was to unleash this rage. The sounds of furniture being smashed, the screams of the Fuang family begging for mercy, and my dad's voice blaring through the loudspeaker, recounting all their dirty secrets, echoed throughout the house. Everything was a chaotic blend, like a bitter symphony. And the one responsible for it all, Chow Din, had been hiding the entire time. The look in her eyes now was nothing but fear. No one from the Fuang family dared to move. Only Fuang Van was left battered, lying flat on the floor with a bruised face. Before leaving, I lightly tapped his face. Fuang Van, your vision is limited to just 88. Fuang Van, your vision is limited to just 88. And have you ever wondered, maybe you're the one who can't have children? On the way home, my parents continuously comforted me, feeling sorry for me. Even though we had taught the Fuang family a lesson, my parents still felt a knot of anger in their hearts. My dad gently probed, looking at my expression. Tin Tin, don't pay attention to what that old woman said. You're so capable. How can no one want to marry you? Even if you don't marry anyone, your parents will support you for life. I felt both touched and amused, quickly reassuring them that I had never worried about that. Seeing that I was truly okay, my parents began to curiously ask why I said Fuang Van couldn't have children. That's when I told them there was a classmate of mine who suddenly passed away from illness, leaving too quickly and causing me to feel anxious and unsettled. So, I had taken Fuang Van for a health checkup with me. I held the health report, which showed that his sperm was weak, making it very difficult for him to have children. To avoid hurting his pride, I had once tried to ask if he might not be able to have children in the future. He had agreed. Looking back, I realized he was really good at hiding things. He always seemed to go along with me on everything. Until everything exploded, I realized I had never truly understood this person. My mother scoffed. Good riddance. Someone like that doesn't deserve to have children. I went home, rested for a few days, and then threw myself back into work. I used to worry that after getting married, it would be hard to balance work and family. Now, I didn't have to worry anymore. I felt a sense of relief. Even the research topic that had me stumped for so long began to make progress. I loved this feeling, shining in a field where I excelled. Unexpectedly, a month later, my best friend and high school classmate, Du Tin, messaged me. She said that Fuang Van was slandering me online. She knew everything that happened between me and Fuang Van and angrily said, Fuang Van really has no shame. This guy is such a good actor. Those who don't know the truth believe his words. If it weren't for Du Tin's message, with my habit of never going on social media, I probably wouldn't have known at all. No wonder my superiors had recently reminded me not to focus solely on work, but also to be wary of petty people. I opened the social media platform that Du Tin sent, and saw that Fuang Van had posted a video. The content was, a girlfriend of 10 years, who just graduated with a PhD, dumped him for a rich guy, and got into a luxury car. He recounted that in the past, because he had to support his girlfriend's education, he had never dared to eat a nice meal. On the day they broke up, he finally dared to indulge himself a little, going out to eat a portion of chicken stew with mushrooms. Accompanied by a photo of him eating and a heart-wrenching sad song, it drew many netizens to empathize with him. A high school classmate recognized him and even tagged my name in the comments. He didn't respond, just silently liked the post. Many people considered him a true love warrior, and the next day, a brand invited him to livestream to sell products. Just like that, even though he didn't directly slander me, he deliberately guided public opinion, leading netizens to dig for my identity. But some people began to doubt him. After all, netizens had found out that I had a very high education, frequently won scholarships, and participated in many competitions and projects. I absolutely didn't need anyone to support me. They demanded that Fuang Van provide proof of his expenditures. Fuang Van began to evade, saying he had deleted me, so there were no records left. Netizens rebutted, saying that even if you delete someone on WeChat, the transfer history still exists in the statements. Fuang Van continued to make excuses, claiming he had changed phones, so he couldn't check anymore. But netizens didn't let up, explaining that even if you change devices, the data can still be accessed. Finally, Fuang Van switched to an emotional excuse. We've broken up. I don't want to affect her anymore. The love warriors felt even more pity for him and turned to attack those who dared to question him. My parents' car was scratched by someone, and their workplace also asked them to take a temporary leave. Meanwhile, I continuously received complaints and accusations sent to the school, saying I was unethical and unworthy of working in an educational environment. Fortunately, my advisor trusted my character very much, so he stepped in to resolve everything. But my parents weren't as lucky. Their lives were severely affected. They frequently received hateful messages, even threatening ones. Fuang Van's family didn't dare to report to the police, but played tricks behind the scenes. And someone like him, even if I wanted to report him, I wouldn't have any concrete evidence. Didn't he just want to use social media to bully me online? Then he should be prepared to face the backlash from that very social media. I immediately registered an official account, using my real name to respond. I didn't need to prove anything. I just demanded he provide evidence of how much he had ever spent on me. At the same time, I released the video from the day I went to their house. Fuang Van dared to fabricate stories to slander me online, surely thinking I had no evidence. Even if he couldn't provide statements, who could clarify who had supported whom? In the end, it would just be a few days of arguing. He could still continue to live stream and make a living from the internet. But he didn't expect that I had evidence in hand. I had intentionally bought a small camera to record everything. To make the video more authentic, I attached it right to my chest. I thought my 10 years of love with Phuong Van was sincere. I thought someone like him would have a decent family. That's why I wanted to capture the moment of my first visit to meet my future in-laws, then edit it into a commemorative video. Who would have thought that the past 10 years were just a play by Phuong Van? And I had been deceived by him without realizing it. When a video was uploaded, netizens immediately exploded. This time, it was Phuong Van's turn to be doxxed. A slew of netizens flooded into the comment section of his video, cursing him. Hey buddy, if you're going to deceive others, at least don't deceive yourself. You know best whether you supported your girlfriend or not. Don't deceive yourself. You know best whether you supported your girlfriend or not. You dare to say that? If I had a girlfriend who was a PhD, my whole family would have to treat her like a precious treasure. Criticizing someone's dowry of $200,000 is little, but your bride price of $88,000 made your family suffer. Truly the epitome of two-faced. What era are we in that you still want to have children to continue the lineage? I've never seen anyone so foolish. Having a girlfriend who's a PhD and still not knowing how to cherish her. Unable to withstand the pressure of public opinion, Phuong Van opened a live stream to respond, lamenting how much money he had spent on me over the years. The netizens cursed him even more. Do you think you can have a relationship without spending a dime? After just a short while into the live stream, Phuong Van was cursed so much that he had to turn it off and disable the comment section. Then, he deleted the video altogether, acting as if nothing had happened, intending to continue making a living through live streaming. But netizens didn't let him off the hook. Every time he went live, he was reported immediately, and eventually his account was permanently banned. The several backup accounts he created afterward were also swiftly dealt with by netizens. Not only him, but his entire family suffered as well. Everyone lost their jobs. When they went out, they were pointed at and talked about by neighbors. A few weeks later, I don't know which nerve of his was severed, but Phuong Van shamelessly came to find me, asking to get back together. He knelt at my door, tears and snot streaming down his face, saying he had deeply realized his mistakes. He claimed it was due to the influence of his toxic family, having been indoctrinated from a young age, that he treated me that way. He even swore that if I agreed to get back together, he would completely cut ties with his family. Perhaps he truly regretted it, but that regret was merely because finding a job was difficult now, and he could no longer live comfortably. It certainly wasn't because he missed our 10-year relationship. Thinking that way, I felt both sad and disgusted. I looked at him, sighed with regret. Phuong Van, if only you had realized sooner. But unfortunately, it's too late now. Phuong Van quickly shook his head. It's not too late. Do 10, just give me one chance. I shook my head, laughing coldly. You think I would get back together with a man who can't have children? His face turned pale. It seemed he had really gone for a checkup. I called security and firmly chased him away. For someone so despicable, there's no need to waste time lingering. Later, I heard from others that after learning Phuong Van couldn't have children, Chow Din became even more rebellious. She used to hide the fact that she supported her younger brother on my mother's side. Now, she was completely blatant about it. As soon as the Phuong family showed any sign of discontent, she would threaten to have an abortion and divorce. The Phuong family had no choice but to yield and comply with all her demands. People recounted to me that everyone said it was karma. The Phuong family deserved to be treated like that by a daughter-in-law like her to lessen their delusions. But only I understood that for a feudal, conservative, and ignorant family like that, Chow Din's actions were no different from self-harm. In fact, she was just a spare blood bag for her younger brother on my mother's side. Having lived in such an environment for too long, Chow Din could no longer distinguish what true happiness was. Just as I thought, not long after, Chow Din lost the child in her womb. The Phuong family could no longer endure the chaos caused by Chow Din, and secretly urged Phuong Quang to find another woman, with the aim of having her become pregnant. This plan was discovered by Chow Din. She rushed in just as Phuong Quang was with that woman. When the two sides argued, she lost the child she was carrying. Chow Din's maternal family took her back, declaring that if the Phuong family did not handle the situation properly and did not sincerely apologize, they would absolutely not allow Chow Din to return. The so-called sincerity was, in fact, a demand for money. The Phuong family had already tolerated Chow Din for too long, and this time, they resolutely decided to divorce. After the divorce, her maternal family also did not allow Chow Din to stay long, and she had no choice but to rent a place to live on her own. Meanwhile, the Phuong family's elderly couple turned their attention to matchmaking for their two sons, hoping to find someone to bear them grandchildren. However, every blind date ended in failure. The Phuong family had hurt me like that. I couldn't let them live in peace. I didn't need to do much. Just standing by was enough. No one wanted to become in-laws with them. Eventually, the Phuong family considered buying a wife. They even sold their house just to find a woman to bear children. Before they could secure a wife, they were swindled out of a large sum of money. The family began to turn on each other, with brothers Phuong Van and Phuong Quang blaming one another, claiming that the other was the reason they lost their chance at marriage. In a fit of rage, Phuong Quang, who seemed so gentle, ended up stabbing Phuong Van, sending him to the hospital. Despite being treated for several days, Phuong Van did not survive. From that point on, no one knew where the Phuong family had disappeared to, nor did anyone hear any news about them again. As for my life, the only pain I ever experienced was during my time with the Phuong family. Everything else in my future was wide open and peaceful.